Back in 2018, Samsung had launched its Galaxy S9 and OnePlus was busy launching its OnePlus 6. But then Xiaomi had different plans. They had launched a new sub-brand called as Poco, and we all didn't know that it's going to launch a legendary product that works and performs like a charm even now. Well, I'm talking about the Poco F1. This is my first Android phone and I've been having this for the past 3 years, and even now, to the surprise, it works and performs really well. I know this product's life cycle has ended, but recently I've tried using the smartphone by installing modern games and apps, and guess what? It ran so well. Here's the spec sheet of the Poco F1. Now, if you compare this smartphone with a modern 20k rupee smartphone, it performs well in certain aspects, like for instance gaming. It still manages to perform really well in games like BGMI, where if I keep the settings at smooth extreme, it works really well. Now, the second advantage is security. Now, I do agree that it doesn't have a dedicated hardware to encrypt and decrypt stuff, but at least the Face ID implementation is much more better than the modern day Android phone because it has a physical hardware to scan your face just like the iPhones. But if you compare this with the modern day Android phone which just uses the camera, this is leaps and bounds ahead in terms of its security. And even it also has a physical fingerprint scanner which is much more accurate than the in-display fingerprint scanner, if I'm not wrong. Now, gaming and security is an aspect that Pocophone F1 is still able to give a tough competition to phones under 20,000 rupees. Now let's talk about the cameras. I know the setup is not crazy and out of the box the performance is not so great, but with a certain tweaks, I'm able to bring its performance to a level that we are able to compare it with a flagship 2022 smartphone, which is the Pixel 7 Pro. Well, all I did is to just find the correct Gcam mod and installed it on the Poco F1. Now, for the people who don't know what's Gcam, well, basically it's a camera application that has been ported from Pixel smartphones that is well known for its photo processing. So if you have a phone with a good camera hardware but you think is not up to the mark in terms of its processing, then you can also install Google Cam. I've already made a video, you can check out on that. So as you can see, the difference between quality of photo taken using the stock camera app versus the Gcam app is day and night. And even in certain circumstances, we are able to compare its photos with a modern 2022 flagship phone like the Pixel 7 Pro. Now, I'm not trying to say that the Pocophone F1 is better in terms of its camera quality, but what I'm trying to say that it aged well. Now, let's talk about the designs. And this is a department where Xiaomi had decided to cut some corners just to reduce the pricing. Like for instance, using plastic instead of glass, which reduces the cost of a smartphone by a lot of extent. And I think this particular decision by Poco didn't affect the users a lot because the performance and the quality was still intact. It's not that they removed something that they called as signature, just like OnePlus did with its OnePlus 10T, where they removed the alert slider and simply said that it can be replicated via software, which is completely opposite against their ideology of alert slider because it was one of their signatures. So yeah, brands can cut corners to reduce the pricing, but it shouldn't be at the cost of quality and performance. So I've been using this phone for the past 1 week as my primary device, and to be honest, my suggestion is that even if you find this smartphone in a brand new sealed pack, you should never consider buying this because its life cycle has ended. And not only that, the last unit was produced way back in 2019 if I'm not wrong, and even if you have a sealed unit, the battery might have lost its capacity, and if you try to use it as your primary device, then I don't think it will last you long. But if you manage to find a phone in a very good condition, then I guess you can consider it as a good secondary phone for taking some calls and using it for testing certain things on Android. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell that it runs on MIUI 12 based on Android 10. So yeah, the life cycle has ended in terms of the software, and not only that, the battery performance is not that great right now considering it's a very old phone. But I don't know, what's the point of you making this video then? Well, all I wanted to say that I just wanted to remember this legendary phone from Xiaomi. When I started using that phone, I really wanted that good old days to come back where brands used to fight against each other to price their product competitively. And I do agree, because of the inflation and chip shortage, the pricing cannot be as equivalent as it was back in 2018. But what I'm trying to say is that brands right now are making upgrades that can't really be called as upgrades. They're just refinements. Now, if someone from any brand is watching this video, all I want to tell is that we people are the same. All we want is a smartphone or a product that's well balanced in terms of its performance to the price that we pay. Like for instance, the Nothing Phone 1. The display, the camera, the design, everything is well balanced for the price that we pay. And the trade-offs that they've made doesn't affect a normal consumer. But there are even smartphones that are made with trade-offs that doesn't even justify the pricing for which it's sold. Like for instance, the Tecno Phantom X2. I heard that it doesn't have a stereo speaker setup, and for that price, who will buy a phone which doesn't have a stereo speaker? Anyways, this was a short video that I made to remember the legend Poco F1, and we consume consumers really need brands to focus on building smartphones like this, which is well balanced and justified for the price it's being sold. Have you ever had an opportunity to use this, or have you ever used it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like this video. And by the way, if you're really bored and don't know what to do, well, I've made a video about games that can kill your boredom. You can watch that by clicking here.